welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders are lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. You can look at the long line of riders. You can see them on your screen. We've got 1 or 2 riders also distanced as they come up here. This is key. Go hard or go home.
I do not think he has been shut down. This attack might have been brought back, but shutting down Cutler, never.
They're the furthest up the route and they're approaching the top of the climb on part 1 on the first of the 3 major steps. Category 1, that group is still pretty much together.
Looking like Category 3 have wound their way up to just the top 10, so 10th position currently.
They've got to keep on moving. They've got to keep pushing here. They need to get to the back wheels of this group, but they also want to stay clear of the riders behind.
He is the rider pushing on here because they do not want that catch to be made. They want a breakaway group to form and a breakaway group to go away. It's Mendakowicz who's doing the marking. Winfield is there as well. Is it going to make the difference as they travel towards the line? Allport goes over the top. No, Dadson's now got it. Can Allport come back? Mark Dadson takes it from Allport.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club to Qualifier Race number 2. It's the 12th of November. Hello, my name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of our race action here today. And we've got to follow up on what has been an amazing women's race. And of course, the action you've just seen from Qualifier Race number 1. It's an absolute pleasure putting words to the action. For those of you who are wondering, where is my co-host? Not here today is Emma Martin. She's on UCI duty for the UCI, doing the UCI World Championships. The partner, of course, with MyWhoosh for the Esports World Championships and for Esports governing all cycle sport. And Emma's on World Cup duty. You can watch that after you've watched this. Can't watch it till you've watched this. Just don't do it. It's not worth it, honestly. You can watch that anytime. This is live. This is coming out to you now. And this is going to be an absolute flyer because we have some amazing racing. We are in Belgium. We are on one of my, if not my totally favourite course, one of my top 3 courses with some of my favourite climbs ever because they're not super long. But boy, are they steep. We have for you 5 categorized climbs effectively, 5 main climb segments. We've got the Cauter-Kia, the Valkenberg, the Ikenberg climb, the Kwaremont and the Paterberg. In addition, we have the Ikenberg Hill, which is just before the Ikenberg climb. We also have the second part of the Paterberg climb, which is this section to our finish line, which means that there are essentially 7 key climbing areas. Add in the sprints, add in the cobbles, add in the twists and turns, plus the best riders. It is going to be an absolute flyer. Now, you can see it's only 492 metres across the 45 kilometres, but don't let that fool you because of the ferocity of the climbs, because of the way the riders ride it. This is almost always an explosive race in categories 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it does mean that we're going to see some interesting racing from all of our race categories. Category 1 will be the first to go. They are 5 minutes behind Category 2, who will be 10 minutes behind Category 3, who are 5 minutes behind Category 4, who will be our first riders to go, because Category 4 set us away here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Category 4, in the red jerseys, a nice packed set of riders with the Anzacs, with the Bauhaus Sport Club, Tour de Force, the Anzacs, Los Amigos, Spinergy. It's a real who's who of racing. The Tour de Force, of course, with race rides out every week, as well as the Anzacs. All these teams are looking to score big today, and they're going to be able to talk to each other. Remember, our team's able to talk. So Yates can talk to Dadson, to Allport, to McMurtry, for example, on the Anzacs team. They are the riders who are known for their attacking starts. Will they be able to do so? It's a really big race field. 46 riders to take to the start in Category 4 here today. So here we go. Qualifier number 2. The first category away is category number 4. they will have a 5-minute head start on the riders behind. In Category 3, away they go. And as we make our way out of town at the moment, you can see this running. The first part of this course, it is flat. Not that flat, it's flatter than that. No, even flatter than that, in fact. So flat, it is going to be an entertaining start. Now, Luke Allport already with the emotes kicking out. They're able to do so. Oh, not to be outdone. You can see Roydal Velada doing exactly the same. It's really easy to do. When you're riding, you literally can click down to the bottom right-hand side of the screen and click on whatever you want, whether that's a lightning bolt, flat battery, my back's giving me a chip, you name it. Take your turn on the front, whatever you want. As the riders head out of town into the forest here in Belgium, it is Velada and Allport leading this group out, pretty much all the group together, as you can see. And let's give you a run through. If you've not been watching before, essentially top center is the rider data. So watts, time, heart rate and cadence, as well as the distance that our riders have traveled. The watts per kilo and watts are both shown on the left-hand side of the top center. And the watts per kilo, of course, is power to weight, whereas the pure watts of pure power is the big number there. It's shown in white when the riders are in the wind. White is in the wind. Green is good because it means you're in the draft. As you can see here, Velada in the green in the draft, and hiding behind Medeiros, who's currently leading the race out. It's going to be very fast moving. Our change at the front of the group as these riders come through, but at the moment, one big pack. Now it's top center. Left-hand side is a satellite navigation view. This is our way of telling where the riders are, whether they are splitting, whether they're coming up on another group of riders. It also tells us our speed. It's 35 kilometers now, 38, 39, 40k an hour. Really fast start, and currently covered 1.3k. And of course, that will tick up as our riders move on. Right-hand side of the screen, you have the riders we're watching. So Medeiros at the moment, it's highlighted in blue. And then you can see the host of red jerseys, the power to weight ratio of all these riders. So you'll see when a rider's attacking, when they're going hard, when they're going easy. You'll see the chevrons come in. Nilsson going in through the yellow into the red. Thank you very much, sir. Perfect timing. Jerry there just kicking in through a Storger now kicking. And you're going to see that as we go into the climbs. And when the pressure is on, the riders will kick harder. And that will be indicated. It's a real key indicator that the riders are pressurizing. Top right-hand side is the course profile. Now, at the moment, it's flatlined. It's not because the riders haven't made it to the end. It's because there is no gradient change for the first 6 kilometers of the race route. And as we saw on our profile, we do have 2 sprints today. They are literally worth bragging rights alone, but they do give us a snapshot on the racing and who is going well through there and which of our packs are moving fastest. So category 4, 3, 2 or 1, how they make the way in and through. Category 4, the first going through, and as you can see, pretty much all the riders going reasonably steady through here. Looks like Brett Murtry on his way through. Luke Allport kicking on though, and it is often used as an attack point, so you can mask an attack, pretend it's a sprint for the sprint point to go through, but then continue. Allport went there at 10.3, now backed off to 0.2, or 0.1, 0.2, then went to 2.3. Will they continue onwards? That's the question. It doesn't look like the watts per kilo are high enough, and to be honest, at this stage, it would be a brave man who attacked through the sprint to try and stay clear all the way to the end of 45 kilometers. Category 4 through the sprint. Category 3 in the pens. Second group away, 5 minutes behind, remember. So we have Italian Espresso. I'm on number 7 of my Espressos today. The Level Racing team in here and the WTBR squad as well. Going to be very interesting to see how the teams go on. Really key for me is the Espressos are here with Bala, with Manella, with Roncalli and Caigula. They will be able to practice their tactics prior to the finals, and they'll be able to talk to each other on the Discord channel. They can choose to talk to each other, and nobody can listen in. So a great way to really utilize the skills of the team. They're up against a whole host of riders. In fact, 41 riders in our Category 3 race field. And remember, the categories are dynamic. It's not fixed boundaries for the entire year. It will move based on the riders in there. So you always get competitive racing. So here we go. Second of our groups to hit the race. It is a Category 3. The second race start. And they're underway here on qualifier number 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. They take the left turns that bring them on to the race. They head out into the forest and then make their way in to the Ghent City Sprint. Remember, they've got to reach 2 kilometres before they reach that point. Another quick start though here. 32 kilometres, 35 kilometres an hour, now starting to wind up a little bit more in the bunch. 44 the maximum speed I've seen so far, but remember, this is still essentially one group coming through town. They take the left turn, and the run through will take them underneath the black archway there, and that takes them out into the forest here in Belgium, in the new Belgian world. It's a great world to explore. Please do jump on board. Download the platform on to whatever you're going for, whether that's iOS, whether that is on Windows, whether that is on an Android phone or a tablet. Download it, jump on board. Please do have a ride. Now, the requirements for the Sunday Race Club are quite stringent, because we want to ensure that this fair play from all of our riders and their equipment is all working the same. But to just jump on and ride, there is a much bigger range of equipment you can use, and the restrictions on what you can use in terms of turbo trainer are far less tough to meet. So you can jump on board with a whole wide range of equipment. We'll often ride on 2 different types of setup depending on what we want to run here in the studios at full speed events when we come in and out and riding the routes, and that's just so that we can get more riding done. And we have different riders. Turbos have different feel. You've got a bigger choice. You could jump on board and ride, and then when you do come to race on Sunday Race Club, make sure you meet those minimum specs so that you can get on board and race. Now, in terms of racing, Lavini is the rider who's on the attack at the moment. 11-second gap to the chasing group behind, and that is the main pack. We do have a number of riders then distance behind that main pack. The group is already splitting, and this is an interesting tactic here by Lavini. We are not a long way into the racing, but he's already on the attack. He's already starting to wind this up, and I think this is a very interesting move, because the riders behind are going to have to answer this at some point. They've got to choose when they do that. At the moment, just coming in alongside, you can just see on the left-hand side the moat from the old Ghent City. Again, one of the old fortified Belgian towns. Really interesting place to go explore. I've had the pleasure of going around Ghent. It's a cracking visit. It's really good. If you haven't got the chance to do that, jump on board MyWhoosh. Have a look. It's really realistic, actually. It's some of the very, very familiar sights to anybody who's been out there. Now, it's Category 4 making the way around and through Ghent. We are going to take a look at our riders coming into the Ghent City Sprint in Category 3. This takes them basically into town. You can see at the moment Ben Kirk kicking down through here. Ivo sure coming on his wheels, and it's a great way to wind the group up, to get some pace in. It's also a great way to stretch legs. Many of us will go out on a ride and we maybe use the first short hill as a kicker, with the first sign. If we're out riding outdoors as a sprint, maybe if you're riding on MyWhoosh, you maybe use one of the towns, one of the climbs, one of the junctions as your little warm-up. You give it a kick, you stretch your legs out. Now, remember, we're racing, so it's not just about warming up, it's also about making sure that you make the riders work hard around you, because you want to put them in trouble, and that is what can happen here. Our Category 3 riders have been split apart, and they're only just starting to regroup. That sprint came at 2.3k, and as you can see on the left hand side of your screen, they're at 2.7k, and they have not yet brought them through together. Now, Category 4 and Category 3 are underway. We have a slightly bigger gap between Category 3 and Category 2. And that means I think we've got a great chance to tell you just what our riders are racing for, if they can make their way into the top 5 positions, because we have prizes for every race. Every ride on the Sunday Race Club, there are prizes. It's a massive prize fund that's available. It's not just for championships. It's not just in response to anyone else. We've done it since the start. The professionalisation of esports is here, and the ability to make a living, to be able to dedicate the time to get the equipment to make sure you can do it, is all part and parcel of MyWhoosh supporting esports as a discipline in its own right. And we have some amazing prizes per category 4, 3, 2 and 1. So if you are racing in category 4, you can win 2,160 AED for first place, and in fact the prizes run down to 5th place, 432. Because this is a qualifier, it's the block on the right hand side of your screen, just for our individuals. Now if you are in a team and you're racing in the final, well, it gets even more entertaining. And one of the reasons for that is because with 3 riders to count for your team out of a possible 5, those times added together, it is often very close racing. 10,800 AED for the team win, but that's in the finals only. Quick reminder, that is the finals only. So, category 4, big prizes. We step up to category 3. What do you think the prize money does? No prizes for guessing. It goes up. It is 3,600 for the win, 2,880 for second, and the first prize in category 4 is now the third prize in category 3, 2,160 AED. Correspondingly, the team prize at the end of the month goes up as well. And of course, in the monthly finals, it's individual plus team classification. Not one or the other, both. Don't get much better than that, does it? Let's face it. Or does it? Because category 2, when we move from 3 to 2, it gets even better still. 6,000 AED for the win. 6,000 AED for the win. Really, really interesting to see the increase in the prizes as you move up. 30,000 for the win in category 2. That is really, really a big prize fund. That could be 10,000 each just in the team classification at the end of the month. So you can see riders able to use this as a way to be able to ride, to commit and put the time in to do so, because we have the best riders in the world on the platform. We have so many of the riders who compete in the World Championships, and of course MyWhoosh will be hosting those World Championships live in person with our riders going to be coming down and racing in October. And the riders most likely to be racing in the very top of the tree are our category 1 riders. What do they win today? What could they win today? Well, let's take you through this, because okay, they're category 1. For 5th place, 2,000 AED. For 4th place, 4,000 AED. 3rd place, 6,000 AED. 2nd place, 8,000 AED. And a humongous first place of 10,000 AED. 10,000 AED is also what you win in the team competition for 4th place. It goes right up to 50,000 AED in the monthly final. Now, we know it's not all about the prize, and we know not everybody works in AED. Normally, we would bring you at this point in the show Emma's exchange, but because Emma is currently covering an Indonesian race over in the far side of the planet to me over here in Europe, we're going to go in Indonesian rupiahs for Matt's exchange. So, if you were racing on MyWhoosh, where the World Championship XCE is being hosted, you could win. You ready for this? This is a big number. I'm going to try and get this right first time. Everyone knows numbers, not my strong point. In Indonesian rupiah, it is 42,728,149.7 Indonesian rupiah would be the win on MyWhoosh. So if you were going to be watching the finals live and then you're going to be racing on MyWhoosh, which you could just about do, then that is what you would win for first place in category 1. 42,728,149.7 Indonesian rupiah for the win in category 1. Our category 2 riders, well, they've got to move to category 1 to be able to do that, but it's not beyond them, because we have some incredibly strong riders in category 2. Great teams with the Beast Mode powered by Rose. The Hitmen, as always. We've got the UAE Falcons here. I know Christian Kopecky here, one of the regular riders on the Velocation cycling team as well. very strong teams. Howeiler, Mayer, Mendakowicz, Von Haren, familiar names. We've got riders like Hamden, Altaneshi, Arametri on the Falcons. The Hitmen's, well, they are always on the attack. Simeons and East as well. Will they be the riders to take victory? We'll have to get to the end of the Belgian course. Here we go, Category 2 away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. 40 riders on the start sheets today. With strong riders, Juki, Oya, Gates, Kane. We've got Cavajal, we've got Arroyo, we've got Hernandez, Biar heading here, Betty. We've got Bangston, Van He, Kirchner in here, Alami. We've got Don, rider who always sprints. Phil Graves, a rider who we know is strong on the attack. Spratt in there who can climb like an absolute angel. You've got Krasnich, you've got Gombert. If I read out every rider, I'd read you 40 names because every one of these riders are competitive in this race field, and that's the great thing. By riding on the platform, by riding on Tune Up Tuesday, by riding on those training rides, on the social rides, by getting out and racing the Sunday Race Club, we get to know what you can do. We get to be able to put very close race fields together, and that means that anyone can win. It's very, very tight. It's going to be tough today because of the climbs and because the riders know they're coming. We're seeing these groups come out. They're going out and pretty much staying together. We're only seeing 1 or 2 riders being distanced on the way through. That is tough stuff because it means when we come to our first climb, to the Cauter-Kia climb, which is the very first climb, it is going to be pretty brutal. Most people will be in the group, and the slopes of the Cauter-Kia kick at 17%. So again, 17% at the top of the first part of the Cauter-Kia climb, and it's a 2-stage climb as well. The longest of our climbs, a climb that we know can split this group apart. I think everybody's saving some energy. Nobody wants to put too much in at the moment. It's going to be tough stuff. Who's going to take it out? Who's going to take the win as we come on to Cauter-Kia? Who is going to then take that on to the Valkenberg, to the Ikenberg climbs, to the Kwaremont and into the Paterberg? We will see. The riders at the moment furthest down the race route are currently at 9.4k, and that means that they are on part 2 of the Cauter-Kia. Now, the Cauter-Kia is a 2-step climb. This is part 2. Now, it climbs, it levels, and there's a tiny little kicker at the top, a little pimple on the top of the berg. So the Cauter-Kia, and first using the Tour of Flanders, 1998. It is a very, very tough climb. It is a climb which can separate these riders out, and you can see already this group is breaking. We have a breakaway group of leaders clear of the rest. Now, Category 2, remember, they've only just gone out from the pens. Already pressure being put on here by Olivier Simmons of the Hitmen, by Phil Graves, by Che Howeiler in there. These riders are really pushing on here, and this is early doors to do so. It's flat. The only way you're going to break this is by drag stripping somebody right off your wheel. Really difficult to do. And it could well be that they're just looking to see if anybody is going to get caught out by not warming up correctly. And that's the only way this is going to happen. If you haven't warmed up hard enough, you haven't got yourself sorted out, you haven't really pushed on, you haven't opened your lungs up, you haven't got that blood flow, you're going to suffer when you come into the very start. And if this is blisteringly quick, which it's looking like at the moment, as we go through, then that's when the gaps could open up. And when a gap opens, it's very difficult to close down. Now, Simmons pushes over the top, still holding over 5 watts per kilo. He's looking to try and break this group up to see the weaknesses. There's already riders being distanced. You can see that on the satellite navigation view. So Category 4, leading the race at the moment. They are currently at just over 10 kilometres. 8 kilometres covered for Category 3. It is 2.5 kilometres covered for Category 2. And Category 1, they're all ready to roll. The big hitters, well, they're there. Have they got the right firepower with them today? We will see the Belgian Waffles team, the MyWhoosh team, brilliant name, and of course, the UAE Clan team. So, Benitza, Carradine and Jacobs of the MyWhoosh team. The Belgian Waffles represented by the professional rider. That is Jason Osborne and Martin Martins, who is on blisteringly quick form at the moment. Absolutely flying. Watch back race, qualified number 1. It's really, really simple. Watch that race back. You'll see just how well he's going. And, of course, we've got Vink, Popovic, SS, Mr. X100 and Michael Knudsen in the clan team. Can they work as a team? Will it be the teams or will it be our individuals? It is go time on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Category 1 is away. We're in with Pin Van Diemen, another rider who we know could be in the mix at the finish, particularly here as we come through. These are all climbs that will be familiar to him. The Dutchman, well, he's not too far from the Belgian climbs of the section in and around the full section really of the Flanders area. Flanders area stretches a long, long way. And it's very historic. At the moment, Mr. X100, he's looking to set history here. He's going clear from the word go. This, now, let me put a little bit of context in here. Mr. X100 is renowned for being a rider who can go for a long effort. He maybe doesn't have the same ultimate flat out 20 watts per kilo that you'd see from a pure sprinter. And that means that in theory, he should be suited to a race route with a long climb. But he's turned that all on its head. And the reason he's turned it on its head is because he does two things. One, he knows exactly how this game works. He is using the steering function. You can see how his avatar is moving from right to left to try and make life difficult for people who are not his teammates. That makes life hard for everyone else. It breaks the draft. It is not about being in there and using it nice. This is about racing for the win. You can pull a group clear. They've gone from the word go. We got Panizza, Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic in there, as well as Vidal Mer. Now, they've gone clear. 2 riders from the UAE clan team, plus 2 other riders in the mix. 4 riders clear, 3 seconds the gap already. Already, we are not even at 2K. We're at 1 kilometre covered when this went. Now we're seeing a move across by Ollie Jones, and this is going to do some damage. Just as seeing going over that gap, I think that's Michael Knudsen who is joining the party as well. Jones gets on the wheel with the blue cap. Knudsen is with them, and remember, Knudsen also part of the UAE clan team. I think there's been a concerted discussion to break this early by the clan team. Now, has it worked? You can see for yourself. Left-hand side of the screen. That radar screen, the satellite navigation view. Lead group, second group, third group. And when you look at those groups, they're starting to split. So we're starting to see sub-splits. We're going to see the front group, it's now starting to break into 2. We're starting to see gaps opening in group number 1. We're starting to see gaps opening in group 2. 3 is going to make the back of 2, just as it becomes 4 separate groups coming in and through. Another push on the front. I would put your money that's Mr. X100 who's gone off down the road again, trying to break this race up. We'll see. Pablo Popovic is in the group. Vink is in the group. SS is in the group. Zapata's in the group. Ratto is in the group. Theme is still in this group. So is Noran. So is Carradine. So is Jones. Going to be very interesting. It's like Nair's still in this big pack up in front. This group is rotating fast as we come through the sprint. This is again City Sprint, and I think we are going to see Category 1 riders, the fastest riders of the lot. Now, sometimes at the start of a race, Category 1 take it easy, and Category 2, 3 and 4 take the honours of being the fastest through the sprint. Somehow don't think that's going to happen today, because Category 1 are absolutely flying as they come in through. This is aggressive from the go. There are people being left at the roadside. They're in a little ditch to the side, but look at the time through the sprint. There you go. Commentator's curse proved wrong. Oh, I'm glad Emma's not here. It is Ruben Dunk going through. He's a regular fast sprinter through there, 23 seconds. But the rest of the top 8-9 positions filled with Category 2. And that is a very interesting result. So for all the pace and the aggression, Category 1 have not been able to make it their own as they go through that sprint. Very interesting. Let's go through the Ghent City Sprint. Shows you how deceptive that race can be. The Ghent City Sprint just going to take a little bit of a check as they went through that sprint. The fastest Category 1 rider, you ready for this? 36th place. So the pressure must have just come back off a little bit as they went through there, and the rest of the riders on it. It shows just how competitive this is, as all the groups are fighting now. Panizza, SS and Co. This is your leading group on the front. SS, part of the UAE clan team. A lot of the time the focus is on, and Emma and I were actually discussing this earlier on, there's a lot of focus often on Pablo Popovic or perhaps Michael Knudsen or Mr. X100. But SS is one of those people who very quietly in the background is there doing the work. He's there putting in the effort. He's there working for the team. And he's there working, making sure things happen. We see it time and time again. He's in that trademark blue shoes, blue cap. He's right up in with this leading group. He's constantly making sure that the race doesn't go too easy, that this is keeping people really on their toes as they go through. We're probably going to see another move now as it comes back together, but he's right in there. He's often missed out, and I think it's really interesting because I've had the pleasure of riding on MyWhoosh with SS and with Mr. X100. Well, I say the pleasure of riding with them. Most of the time it was riding a little bit behind, and then further behind, and even further behind still, as they left me behind on the dunes in and around Arabia last time we were out. But I have to say, absolutely amazing riders. Now, I'm not bad on that bike. I know I often put myself down here, but I'm not bad. But oh my goodness, they are good. And really interesting. Both very, very strong. And yet, they're riding a team with Michael Vink, a man who we know is a proven winner time and time again. And this is why they are the team to beat. Now, can MyWhoosh do it? Panizza, Carradine and Jacobs in here. All these teams getting the practice in. There's some very strong riders not down as teams. So people like Vidal Mayer, Zach Nair in here. We know we've got people like Christoph Thien, David Talbot in here. We've got Frank Thompson in here. We've got Lionel Jassin, Jakob Björklund, Michael Kaminsky. Johan Noren is on brilliant form. He's absolutely flying. They are going to want to be on this. One man possibly more than most, and that is Lionel Jassin. Now, Lionel Jassin is Belgium, and on the very first trip to Belgium he was going for the win. I mean, you would do. Come on, it's home ground. You want to take the win on your home turf. This is what you know. This is where you ride. He didn't make it. No, not really a spoiler, because you need to know this. He didn't make it. He was second. Second time we went to Belgium. Really aggressive race. Absolutely blisteringly quick. People in bits all over the Belgian countryside on MyWhoosh. There were bodies everywhere. Didn't make it. Will it be third time lucky for Lionel Jassin? We're going to have to see. He probably, of everybody, wants this the most. But when you're in that position, quite often, that is when it gets really telling. The first test is going to come at 6 kilometers, 700 meters time. We're going to hit the Cauter-Kia climb. This starts off steep, and then it gets steeper. And then, after that 17% steep section, it will ease a bit and go downhill for a little bit. You think, no, it's all over. No, it's not. We go on to part 2, and again, it kicks again. It's some incredibly steep grades until you get to the very top at 9.9k. It is 3.9k long with that dip in the middle. You can see the first part coming up on the top right-hand side of your screen. That is the course profile. That is where they've got to get to, and then it will drop, and that is where our riders are about to hit in Category 2 before the second part of the climb. So Category 2 in front are over Part 1. They are heading towards Part 2. Category 1 about to hit the start of the climb. Now, this is the banner that indicates the start and finish coming up for Category 1. The polka dot banner with the UCI logo adorned across the centre, because MyWhoosh, of course, is the partner with the UCI, the world governing body for the eSports, right the way to 2026. Really looking forward to seeing those developments, and as we move forward, what happens. We've been lucky enough to be with MyWhoosh for fast approaching 2 years now, and seen it develop for a long time. We've been involved behind the scenes, just with the teams, liaising with them all the way through, and seen so much development. It's so much a different world now than it was even 6 months ago, around 2 years ago. That constant development from the teams is amazing to see, and this world is part of that. And these climbs are what are going to show us just what our riders can do on this platform. It is fantastic. We're going to see what that translates to in terms of UCI World Championships, which have been released. They're going to be in October of 2024. So towards the back end of the season, not the front end of the season, which gives me a lot more time to put in a lot more races. So get on board, learn the platform, learn to ride it, learn how it rides, learn how you have to kick up here. Michael Vink on the front. Normally we don't see Michael Vink till the back end of a race. He's saved till last by the team. That is not the case. You cannot do that here. On the Cauter-Kia, you have to show your colours. Michael Vink is the man leading this out at the moment. He has gone early and everybody else is in the red. Look at this. They are coming, and they are coming hard, but can they close him down? They're about halfway up part one. They've got the steep section to come. It's only, I say only, it's going to hurt at the moment, 6% or just under at the moment, but it's going to ramp up in front of the riders. And as it does so, let's see what the climbers can do. Can they get back in touch? And it's breaking the group at the back already. We're seeing riders being distanced. Category 1 are on part 1 of the climb. Category 2 are on part 2 of the climb, and they are equally all in the yellow and red. The chevrons are flying across the right-hand side of the screen because they are on it. This is breaking. There are 3 groups. They have smashed it to pieces. That grenade has been thrown. The pin has been pulled, and boy, has it exploded, because both Category 2 and 1 are in pieces. There's nothing left of the big groups. They are scattered on the roadside across Belgium on the Cauter-Kia on the very first climb. We don't get to 10k to go until we've climbed this hill, the first of our climbs. And at the moment, Category 2 just coming up to that point. There's still a little bit of a group there. Category 1, well, the group is behind. It's come back together a little bit. You can see the height we have ascended here in Flanders as they come to the top of the climb. I'm very lucky here where we are. We're in the studios in France, so the climbs around here very much emulate the Flanders climb. We have the Flanders Chartres Sportive Classic in September, and the Flanders Gravel Classic as well, using climbs of a similar nature. But I tell you something, this Flanders area, the riders here really pushing on and over the top of the climb as they go through Category 2, 1 leading group, chase group behind, and then Group 3 going through. And this looks like this is going to be a Group 1 on our screens. Nice big group here. It looks like about 20 riders to be or so as they go in through the Cauter-Kia climb. And I think that's going to be about, looks like 26 riders pretty much going through in pretty much the same kind of time over the top of the climb. That's a big pack if it's still staying together at this stage. Category 1 are chasing. They're going to have to really push on there over the first part of the climb. The main pack is still as a pack. There are riders behind, and there's a lot of riders have been distanced on the climbs, but it's still a big pack of leaders at the moment. Jordan Giles in there from Great Britain. You can see the Italian rider Panizzi in there. You've got Fidel May in there from Denmark. You've got the Swede Johan Noren in there. We've got Belgian riders in here with Jasper Paradis and Lionel Jassin. Dutchman Arnie Jacobs in the mix. A real mix of riders. Brazilian Pablo Popovic on his way through. The Brazilians represented in the XCE Championships, where Emma is actually at the moment. Marcelino Lemos Matos doing a good riding qualification in that competition. Don't forget, catch up with that with Emma when you finish watching this. Because you can catch up with that. Just follow Emma's social feed. It's at Biking Emma to catch up with those details. Don't forget to follow mine. It's at Matt Fix the Pain. And of course, MyWhoosh on Instagram and Facebook, and my_whoosh on Twitter. Part 1 of the first climb, the Cauter-Kia, done. We are heading for part 2. it ramps up this bank. You can see it coming. You know it's going to hurt. I've ridden this on MyWhoosh. And this moment now, you just go, ouch, because you go from minus degrees to plus degrees of gradient. It is at 8% and climbing. Watch that gradient increase, double digits now already. And this race being ripped up here now. Jordan Giles on the attack. Got to remember that if you are a British rider, then if you're from Great Britain, a lot of the climbs in Great Britain that are called mountains and climbs are literally things like little hills or the equivalent of the Flanders roads. So very similar, steep. The ability to do long sweeping turns not happening across a lot of Great Britain. So no surprise in some ways to see Giles on the front there, Jordan Giles kicking on. This is part 2 of the climb. It's going to level a little bit. Then there's another kick at the top. You can see more riders being distanced here. More riders being dispatched out the back of the group. Looks like Daniel Arato at 30 seconds on our leaders. Mr. X100 is at 3 seconds here. And that is dangerous for Mr. X100. He's going to have to continue to push. We know when it eases, he's not going to back off the pace. He's a rider who has the ability to push up the top. But that really steep gradient, just distancing him, he comes on to the back on those lower slopes, on that lowering of gradient. But now the final kick is on over the top. They'll go through the banner, and it's a very quick descent. Really tight left-hand turn at the top here, and then into that downhill. And if you have not pushed on to get into this group at the top, you won't be in at the finish, because when we drop down off here, it's a long descent. We are descending all the way to about 12.5 kilometers. Bearing in mind, we just come through the 10K marker. Another 2.5K of downhill or flat coming up, which is where being in the group is going to have an advantage. So here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, we are well on our way. All of our leaders over the first climb. The first climb, the fastest, said 6 minutes 55 for 3.9 kilometers of the Cauter-Kia climb. Christoph Thiem leading, SS in second position, then the line of Justin Martins, Arnie Jacobs, Pim van Diemen, Zach Nair, and Michael Kaminski, with Michael Knudsen in a 9th position, last of those single-digit riders in terms of ranking. But the leading time, a 6:55 over that climb, incredibly quick as the riders go through. Looking at the watts per kilo, the average watts per kilo vary from rider to rider, as you would expect, but they vary not all that much. If you are up in the top 20 riders, you need to go up that climb somewhere between 5.4 watts per kilo and 6.1 watts per kilo to get over the climb with the leading group of riders. This descent just having a little bit of a split just at the back gaps, easy to see go. As we come down, we're going to see who is chasing behind. Can they get on? I think they're about to make contact. Just waiting to see a rider come charging into the group. Now let's take a look a little further ahead, because our next climb is the Valkenberg. Coming up to the top of the Valkenberg climb, this is Category 3. Big group of riders in here at the moment. This is still looking like it's about 15 riders strong. They're coming onto the back of riders in Category 4. In fact, I'll take that back. It's more like 20 riders strong. Look at the size of the group there. That is a big pack, and it's going to come back together. This run across the top of the lake in the very top of the Valkenberg is where you can come back and get into the group now. You've got a chance on the descent. The leading group of riders have split apart. There is a big pack behind, but at the moment, I think this gap is big enough that as they go into the descent, it's going to open up. So the Valkenberg climb complete at 19.6k. The riders currently on the summit at 20k, and it won't be until another few hundred meters till they start dropping down. The next climb for them isn't a segmented climb. It's actually part of the Ikenberg. We've got the Ikenberg Hill and the Ikenberg climb. They're going to go up the Ikenberg Hill first of all, then they're going to drop down and instantly turn back onto the Ikenberg climb. Imagine basically having a big bank that you climb up, or a big ascent, you drop down the face of it, you turn sharply back onto it again, and you're back up onto the same bank. It is like that on the Ikenberg. So it's almost two parts of the same thing. There's very little time between the two. So these riders, as they run down, will need to be careful that they stay in touch and don't let any sneaky moves go. But Category 3 looking good. Now, Category 1, front of the race. The best form of defense is offense. Who's on the offensive? It's Mr. X100. He's opening up a little bit of a gap here as they come down into the Thistelhoven-Molen sprint. That is the windmill sprint, just making his way down here. So at 12.5 kilometers, the Thistelhoven-Molen sprint is one of those key sections where you need to be in the right place at the right time. It's X100 doing that, taking away the green skin suit, I think. Although it may well be there's been a sprint behind that's gone quicker. What is telling is that overall, Cauter-Kia, now a rider who's very strong in the sprints on the MyWhoosh Championship at the start of 2023, Cauter-Kia has gone through in one. Van Haren into Ruben Dont, who always puts in a big kick for the sprints, is in 3, particularly here on home roads. Then it's Henry East and Philip Grace with SS, who we saw put in a dig, taking 6th spot. Times from 21 seconds to 26 to go from the fastest Category 2 to the fastest Category 1 rider. So the front of the race, Michael Vink, Martin Martins, Pablo Popovic, just with a little bit of a gap. Martin Martins, the rider in the white helmet. Michael Vink with the white cap. The red helmet coming chasing up behind them there with the red socks. That is going to be Mr. X100. Kaminsky going with him across that gap. And I think behind this group is just going to be a long line of riders as they go past the Hovermolens, past the windmills. They are just making their way down here. You see the old school windmills for grinding corn and pumping water on one side. And these are corn grinding for the corn for the wheat on the side here. The electric wind turbines slightly off to the rider's left. Very familiar territory actually to where we are here. Now surrounded by lots of the wind turbines powering the area. Lots of trees and forests as well. So the riders at the moment kicking down here, and still a big pack. They've just distanced another rider out the back. You can see the chase is on behind, but I would suggest that if you're not in this group, you're not going to be in the race for the win today, because to get back on with this fast moving group, moving at this pace, it's pretty much impossible. So 4 groups of riders on the road. Category 4 at the moment at 24.5 kilometers, 22.5k, nearly 23 for Category 3. You can see that Category 2, they have currently covered 17.5 kilometers and nearly 15k for our Category 1 leaders. Big bunch in Categories 2 and 3. Smaller groups in Categories 1 and 4 at the moment. Still plenty of time for that to change. As Category 4 at the moment, they are working well at the moment. They look like they are just about to make their way onto the Ikenberg Hill. Now, this is not segmented, but this is looking like it's key at the moment. Category 4 really exploding here because there's lots of big chevrons coming in Category 4. We're really opening up. Oh, look at this. We're going to get a close look. Fantastic stuff. Brilliant. Now, the riders are really kicking on here. We're just going to see who's in this group. Lloyd Datsun, Allport, Montoya, Noah, Vanegas, Bello, Datsun, Vanegas. Just looking through this group. Matt Smith's in there. Now, really interesting. Matt, I always say it's important that people can ride the ride as well as talk the talk or do the business on a firm. Matt Smithson, one of the key people in MyWhoosh. In fact, Matt are responsible for a lot of the in-game and the race experience that you get when you jump on board Sunday Race Club. And we have had recently, anyone who listens to the show, watches the coverage regularly will know, or follows my social media feed. I'm big podcast fan. Generally listen to 3 or 4 every single day without fail. And been a new episode of the Virtual Velo podcast with the one and only Matt Smithson. So Matt really going to town, giving loads of detail out on lots of things, launching the fact that the MyWhoosh and UCI Esports World Championship is going to take place in October. Lots of great information about that. Lots of great information about the fact that we're going to be doing it live. We're going to have real people all together showing what they can do. Going to be very interesting to see. Won't just be an avatar in one place. And the people who are likely to be doing that are our riders in Category 1. So do download that. Now, you can find that. I've shared the links to that on my social media feed. It's at MattFixerPain. You can also find it shared on MyWhoosh on Instagram and I think on Facebook as well. They're definitely on mine, so jump on board. You can get to Matt Smithson talking on the Virtual Velo podcast. And one of our riders who is regularly on Category 2, racing in the qualifiers. In fact, last week was Cy Bradley. He's one of the hosts with Christopher Schenker. And they're on, I think it's episode 33 of the Virtual Velo podcast. Well worth a listen. And as somebody who is regularly on podcasts, I've got to say, nice to have a listen to another show. Whilst you're downloading that, don't forget you can also download the latest Crosscast with myself, Matt Payne, with my co-host Neil Mansfield, and we had a guest host in Ellis. So if you're into lots of different cycling disciplines, give it a listen, give it a follow. You never know. You might find it entertaining, you might hate it. If you do, don't listen again. Wouldn't want to subject that to anybody. There's only a few people in this world that are forced to listen to me. That's the team behind the pictures here at MyWhoosh. You got to say a massive thank you to the guys there. They not only get to watch the racing, but they have to put up with me talking, particularly when we don't have Emma. If you have just joined us, Emma not with us here on the show. She's out on UCI duty for the XC World Championships. I know she'll be watching this back and shouting at the screens whether she's commentating or not. It's really simple. We love watching the bike racing, and I know when she's out of the studio she'll be watching the race action, and she'll love the aggressive racing going on. Mr. X100, Chase Krasnich on the attack in Category 1. Here in Categories 3 and 4, we're starting to see big moves here. Filippo Quadrelli, one of our well-known climbers in Category 3, somebody who really excelled on the MyWhoosh Championships with that $1 million prize fund. A rider who is really taking it to the rest with Cadiz, Moreno, Giuliano, Jacobo, as well as Montoya. Looks like Caliga's right in the mix there as well for the Italian Espresso squad. Still got half an espresso left. You can tell it's a day when there's only one of us on the mic here. Don't get to drink as much coffee. It's a terrible world, isn't it? I do at least get to talk about all of the race action, and I'm selfish enough to really love that. As Luke Allport, the rider we're in with in Category 4, and the Category 4 riders are in the transition. They are still descending between the Ikenberg Hill and the Ikenberg Climb. So these are climbs, so what is 4 and 5, if you count 7 climbs in total, between climbs 4 and 5, 7 in total, or just coming into the third of our climbing segments. You can see that by the polka dot banner they're going through. You come through, you drop down into the gorge, you climb up, and this is where having pace and speed on the descent really pays off, because you can carry that momentum onto the climb. So Category 4 and 3 on the run between Ikenberg Hill and into the Ikenberg Climb. Here, though, we are with Mr. X100. He's got James Krasnich with him for company at the moment. And I'll tell you something, I'm not going to say it too loudly in case everybody's listening, this is a dangerous move. It's really opened a big gap. So, can Mr. X100 stay clear? He's got 17 seconds. 17 seconds. Now, Pablo Popovic is on the move after. And this is interesting tactics. Now, is this because they want to bring 2 riders clear at the front? He's got a gap. Popovic either needs to make this or get back in, because he can't afford to tow the group up. You don't want to throw away the work that's been done by putting the rider up the road, by working and bringing it all back yourself. And that's why you're seeing Kaminsky leading the bunch. Kaminsky is the rider in the bunch, and I think what's happening here is that Kaminsky says, no way on this earth are we going to let two clan team riders go down the road together and get loads of seconds on us. We're going to try and pull him back here. Kaminsky's being marked out by Knudsen, because the Knudsen's going, yeah, you think you're pulling my teammate back? Well, do you know what? I'm just going to sit on your wheel as well and nullify your move here. Theme's coming, Vink's coming, looks sort of like Jacobs is coming, Paradians is coming, Noren is coming. The bunch are on their way back. Will they pull back at the leader? That is Mr. X100. We are at 19.3k. We're coming to the top of the Valkenberg climb. And if you remember from the previous categories, at the top of this climb is that long flat section across the lake. That means that the advantage will be with a reasonable sized group. The more riders you have, the more draft advantage you can take. Mr. X100 being caught and passed here by Michael Vink, by Kaminsky, by Popovic. But I suspect this group is going to come back together. We're over the top of the climb. It's still a compact group. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen. Time to sit up if it was me, because it's not pulled anyone apart. You've not spat anyone off the back. There's very little gaps in there. I think anyone in that group can come back in. It's definitely hurt some legs, though. I think there's definitely riders now going, not sure how many more times we want to do this. But remember, this is the Valkenberg. This is number 2. Not 2 of 2, 2 of 7. Could be some painful legs and some sore people by the end. Now, fastest time up there, Michael Vink finished at the front of the pack. Came into it near the back of the group. Look at the average watts. Yeah, that's 505 watts. The only 500 watt rider in there. Shows you that he's putting in massive power. Look at the heart rate, 165. That's a biggie for him. 2 minutes 18 for the climb. Just 18. That is a big effort across a relatively short time. 2-minute climb. It's starting to get shorter. Remember, we have got the Ikenberg Hill, and that is 1.4k. We then go on to the Ikenberg climb. That is another 1.6k. We then go on to the Kwaremont climb. That is longer, 2.2k. We then go on to the Paterberg climb. That section of the Paterberg climb itself is 400 meters, real sprint territory. But we then have a further approximately 500 meters of non-categorized climb to the finishing line. It is brutal. That run into the castle and to the chateau down in Belgium is very, very tough indeed. Now, next of our climbs to be completed, it's going to be our category 4 race leader. That's Dexter Bello. He's got a gap on Noak as they come up into towards the climb. In fact, Noak and the whole rest of that bunch, they're exchanging places very quickly because they all want to be on the wheels. They know it's very quickly into the descent. They can see that top right hand side of their screen if they've not been out and riding this. And I can't believe anybody racing is not going out and riding. Go out and get the rides ridden. The more you ride it, the more you know exactly how it's going to play out on the climb. Matt Smithson should know this inside out. He's a rider who spent plenty of time riding on the platform. And talking to people who spent lots of time on the platform, Michael Knudsen has gone down the road, but really interesting who is with him at the front of this group, pushing on. It is his teammate Pablo Popovic. He's got SS for company as well. Looks like Theme has made it, Noren's made it, but this is the pack just jumping across. This is the long flat section from the top of the Cauter-Kia that takes the, the top of the Valkenberg, that takes the riders across to the Ikenberg Hill. Zero grading, it's flat again. This is one of the things, when we go to Australia, for example, it's a really good example actually, it's not flat in between. In fact, on an Australian race route, there is more climbing in the non-categorized parts of the route as there is, in fact, miles more in the non-categorized part of the route as there is in the categorized climbs. Here, it's flat in between. It's absolutely flat. It's not bumpy. There's no FRB sections. There's no flat rolling bumpy. It's just flat. And that is very much like you find going out and racing around Flanders, around the Oudenaarde area, going out and running. It's pancake flat with big hills. You get hit the climb. It's steep. You go onto the plateau top, it levels, you drop down, it's flat. That's what we're getting here now. Behind our Category 4 riders who we've just seen go over the top of this climb, we've got our Category 3 chasers. The Category 3 riders are on their way up to the top of the same climb here. Today, this is the Ikenberg climb. Abello had the fastest time over the top in Category 4. Abello from McMurtry from Dadson as it came over the Ikenberg climb. That is, I'm sure, going to change. Category 3 surely will come through with a quicker time. We're just waiting for it to update, and let's see if that's going to be the case. I suspect it will be, because we've seen a big push. It is indeed. Here we go. So it is Quadrelli, Giuliano, Moreno going over the top. Enrico Quadrelli from Ryan Giuliano, from Johan Moreno, from Filippo Quadrelli. Looks like Motello has gone through. Cadiz, Gretin, Elos. So 11 riders from Category 3 in that leading group going through over the top ahead of the Category 4 leaders. Category 4 leaders going over the top of that section. They number 13. So 13 Category 4 riders chasing those Category 3 riders, with more riders now coming through in 1s and 2s. Category 1 are chasing everybody at the moment. This break, Vink, Popovic now with 3 seconds to him, chasing Knudsen, who wants to get across the gap here. He doesn't want to be left behind here, so he knows how dangerous this breakaway is. 3 riders at the moment with a gap. They've got Category 2 riders in between. They've used the confusion of catching other riders to get clear and stay clear. Pablo Popovic, Michael Vink, Zach Nair have gone down the road. Will today be Zach Nair's day? Can these 3 riders reinforce this gap? Can they open this out? Let's keep an eye on this. This is going to be very interesting. So your 4 groups on the screen: top left hand side Category 1, then Category 2 top right hand side. In fact, dropping down side by side even better, we can see them. Category 1, 24.5 kilometers. Category 2, 25.5 kilometers, 1 kilometer separating them. Then it's 5 kilometers to Category 3, who are at 30.5k, and then a further 2 kilometers to the leader, Mark Dadson, on the road solo, as we see another attacking Category 3 coming. Categories 1 and 2, they're pushing on, but Category 3 really winding it up here. It's Categories 3 and 4 that have the aggression going down at the moment. Category 3 is to Moreno and Caigula, who have tried to open up a gap on the rest of the bunch here. They're being joined by 1s and 2s. Allport, Dadson, Smithson. They've got a fractional gap to Adriana Zanaska, one of the real heroes of the MyWhoosh Racing. Zanaska, not the youngest of riders on our platform, let's just say that. Absolute legend and racing in Category 4. Just looking across from 3 to 4, really interesting. Not much difference in terms of distance on the road, and I think we're going to see these groups come together, because you can see that ahead of Moreno, Giuliano and Caigula, who are the riders on the left of your screen, there are 12 riders. 12 riders. The distance between them is 1,300 meters at the moment, between them and the very front. And I think this group is, it's pulled back a little bit together. There's still splits, there's still gaps opening up. And that shows you just how tough it is, because this is flat for the moment. We're going to be flat until we reach the 30, you ready for this? 36k marker. 36.5k. We start coming in to the actual categorized climb, but at about 30k it gets a little bit more bumpy. We'll see if it's going to make any difference to these riders, or will they all just hold tight at the moment in this pack. The Category 3 leaders have picked up a number of Category 4 riders in those red jerseys, and that means that if you are a Category 4 rider, if you can stay in with this group, with the surges, with those accelerations, you can hide in the draft. So let's go from category 3 and 4 to category 1. Our leaders, Martin Martins, has made the junction with Pablo Popovic, with Michael Vink. But look at this, 2 seconds back to the rest of the bunch. This group has come together as they come up the Ikenberg hill. We descend down to the Ikenberg climb. These are the 2 hills. The first one more of a rolling summit, which is where they are now, just going into the slightly steeper part. We drop down. We come through with the rock face on our left side with the trees on the right, and then we go on to the Ikenberg climb. That is where we go on to the 3rd of our segmenting climbs, and that is where we could well see a move go, because we have a long run then across to the Kwaremont, then into the Paterberg. So race leaders in category 1 coming over the top of the Ikenberg hill. They're going to drop down here, pick up speed, and see how much they can carry into the Ikenberg climb. The Ikenberg climb, a climb that was used extensively on the way through in Flanders. It was used 40 times in total, and the last time it was used was 2015. And one of the reasons it was actually taken out was just because it's so narrow with the big race convoys that we have now in the racing outdoors. It was considered just to be too thin. Now, that is changing a little bit with the aggressive racing that we're seeing from today's riders, but it is a ride you can do. If you can't get to Belgium to ride it, jump on board here, do the descent, which is where our leaders are now, run in and on to the Ikenberg climb. You can see the riders making their way through it. Michael Vink leading it out. He's got Knudsen for company. I tell you something, that's a dangerous pair. Michael Knudsen, Michael Vink, then Johan Norra, not all that far behind. I tell you, he is going to want to squeeze on, but I'm seeing Popovic is there, Nair is there. This is going to come back together again, I think, as they hit the base of the climb in category 1 on the left of your screen, right hand side of your screen. Further up the climb, same hill, same climb, Ikenberg climb. Category 2 are in front. They're in front by about what is going to be 700 meters. There's nothing in this. They're going to be right on their heels soon. Category 2 leaders are on the Ikenberg climb, being led by Nicholas Spratt. Then it's Mendakowicz, then it's Graves, Howeiler, Gates, Mayer. You got Bengston in there, but the very front of this being powered up, it is by Nicholas Spratt and Phil Graves. Mendakowicz in there. Mesiaka Mendakowicz, a rider we know he's going to be aggressive on these climbs. He's a really tough rider. Now, I'll tell you something, it really suits his punchy riding style. It's that kick, attack, and really cover. Very much the case that he is the rider to beat here. He's going to take this sweeping right-hand bend, but it's a long run to the gantry. It does start to ease a little bit up at the top, but you can see the gantry. It's the dark arc that stretches across the road with the light centre of the UCI banner. The riders at the moment racing to get over there. Now, they've got to be on quick. It very quickly accelerates over the top. If you're not on with the leading group, as you go over the top, it's almost impossible to get back on again. So this is a key race selection moment for our Category 2 riders. Can they get on the wheels? Can they get in the draft? Don is going to lead them over the top in the green skin suit of the sprint leader. Has he done enough to take the polka dot jersey as well? I'm not sure that he has. And that certainly looks to me like that's still on the shoulders of another rider. So Dunt kicking over the top there, going well. It's Koistonen who's got the polka dot jersey. So Tatu Koistonen scoring across the Cauter-Kia, across the Valkenberg and the Ikenberg. Enough points to take the lead in Category 2. In Category 1, the race lead in Category 1 is with Michael Knudsen. He's got Pablo Popovic on his shoulder. Then it is going to be 3 seconds back to Vink and Kaminski. Right behind Vink and Kaminski, coming onto their heels, is going to be Martin Martins. And then it's going to be Johan Norinani, Jacobs and co. But this is fracturing now. When they get to the top of the Ikenberg climb, the top of the Ikenberg is at 29 kilometers. 29 kilometers. Now, you don't need to be a mathematical genius to work out that between 45k and 29k, you've got 16 kilometers. I was doing it on my fingers. That means that you are going to be able to work on the descent, but you've got a long stretch into the finish. I don't think this is going to be the race winning move, but this could be a move that forces another selection and more riders to be distance behind. So let's look at the times. Pablo Popovic going over the top with the fastest time, 3 minutes and 5 to come up the Ikenberg climb, the 1.6k. Cover 3 minutes and 5, then it is 3:06.69, 3:08.221 for Martins. So Popovic does some Martins 1, 2, 3, then it's Mr. X100, Michael Kaminski, Johan Noren, Michael Vink, and Pim van Diemen with SS rounding out the top 9. What is telling? There's a lot of UAE clan riders hovering in and around the top 5, top 10 places. And that is dangerous for the rest of the riders. They make their way through. They know that they really have to be on top form to wrestle that team standing away. Michael Knudsen on his way through with teammate Pablo Popovic on his heels. The 2 riders coming down, just going to make their way through underneath this archway, closing down on Kayosbi Hernandez, who's currently at 5 seconds and closing from category 2. So here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, we've got an attack going from Knudsen from Popovic in category 1. The riders there chasing, or some of the riders they're chasing up at the front. The furthest riders down the road, 37.2k, covered for Mark Dadson and Luke Olport. The dynamic duo of Olport and Dadson are at it again. Our 2 most aggressive riders, I suspect, in the race in category 4 over the last few months, if not more so. It is Mark Dadson and Luke Olport. They're on the attack again. They're looking to break clear and to repeat success at the front. Montoya is in the pack behind, as is Vanegas, Naska, Zimiel, Smithson's in there, McMurty in there, but they're giving away 3/4 of a minute at this stage, and that could well mean that as these riders come through, it is going to be game over. These riders on the Haut de Kwaremont at the moment, on the Kwaremont climb, 36.6k to 38.8, so they're fast approaching the summit of the Kwaremont, and then it's a fast run down into the Paterberg and then on to the final slopes. So category 4 leading. Category 3, the chase is on. That's Taylor Gonsolin, who's opened a gap. We knew Gonsolin was strong. I'll tell you something, this is a strong move. I'm seeing 9 seconds on that time gap, and that is to a big bunch, but to solo away from them, he's taking a big effort here, surely. 169 beats per minute from Taylor Gonsolin. He's opening the gap. Can he make it stick to the finish? Now, Gonsolin up on the front. He's on the slopes of the Kwaremont. The Kwaremont starts off steeper, it levels, and then it kicks again. Going to be a tough ask to stay clear of that group. But remember, when you get to the top of the Kwaremont climb, that is at 38.8k. There's not a lot of flat. There's a big downhill run to 42.9k from 38.8. So basically, you're going to run in what is going to be 1.8 to 2.9. That is going to be just shy of 5k, actually. So it's still substantial, 4.7k run into the Paterberg climb, and then it's a run for the finish. So, going to be interested in this running. Our category 1 riders, we've got the gap here. You can see it behind the riders. You can see it on that satellite navigation view. You've got Michael Knudsen, Pablo Popovic in here. You've actually got Frederick Gombert, the category 2 rider from France, being distanced. But you've got Michael Vink in here as well. So Michael Vink with the white cap and the glasses on, the white shoes. You've got Michael Knudsen with the white shoes with no hat on at all, going for the full aero shaped head look. And then you've also got Pablo Popovic. What unites these riders? It's the UAE clan team. Blinding move by them. Now, who's behind? Oh, it's only Mr. X100. So, Mr. X100 is the next rider on the road. Are they going to go for a clean sweep? You have got Vink, you've got Popovich, you've got Nuts and Clear. You've then got Mr. X100. He is just looking to close down Michael Kaminsky. Look at the shutdown there. Mr. X100 came up to Kaminsky at 8 watts per kilo. He just shut that power out. It was like, right, come back. You're not just getting a free rein to go chasing after them. That's not happening. I'm going to remind you that if you're in this group, if you bring us up, you've got me and you've got SS that you're going to be bringing with us. And that means that the rest of the riders now are going to be working out how to break the stranglehold, how to break the grip. There's no team prize up for stake, but that doesn't matter. These are competitive riders. They are going to take this on. They will want to be in to the finish. They will want to take themselves over the line. They will want to mess up the minds of the UAE clan team before those finals. They won't want them going in feeling super strong. Category 1 left-hand side, your leaders going through. Right-hand side, it's the leaders on the road. They are at 38.8, which means that they have just crested the top of the Kwaremont climb, and now heading into that downhill. Now that downhill does have a platform part way through where you have to run across the flat section. So descend, long flat, say long flat, it's only about half a K or so, 500 meters, and another big descent, and then you're into the base of the Paterberg, legendary Paterberg, on to then the upper slopes in on that run in for the finish. On the screen, 4 groups of riders. Category 4 leaders, bottom right hand side of your screen, Allport and Dadson. I know, deja vu going on there, definitely. So then the riders on a category 3 left hand side of your screen, and then we've got categories 2 and 1. So here we go, riders in 4 categories, 4 race finishes coming up. What have they got left in front? Going to be really interesting. It's the run into the finish. Remember, the Kwaremont is where category 1 and category 2 are approaching. We have the run to the finish, and over the Kwaremont we have seen the category 4 leaders go, and now category 3 go over the top as well. So 50% of the race field over the penultimate categorized climb. I think time to have a look at what's in store for the riders in this final run in. So if you just join us for the finale of the race club, do please have a watch back of the build up to this, because we have made our way through the Cauter-Kia, through the Valkenberg, over the Ikenbergs, and then into the Kwaremont climb. Category 1 and 2 are approaching the Kwaremont, that 2-stage step climb with a slight flattening in the 2/3 point. That means that it's a big ascent. We drop off that into the Paterberg. Now the Paterberg climb, it's the last segmented part of the climb, but we have a climb into the Citadel on the right into the finish that's not categorized and is tough stuff. The Paterberg is steep. It runs from 14 to about 16% on the Paterberg on its way up there. It's an average gradient of 11.5. The Kwaremont climb is steep as well. Really is a tough climb. It is actually the longest cobbled climb. If you go ride, if you're lucky or unlucky enough to ride in the Tour of Flanders, it's actually the longest cobbled climb in the Tour of Flanders, cobbled for the 2.2K. The Paterberg is also cobbled, put in because the riders wanted the farmer wanted to have a cobbled climb by the side up through his rows. Then you've got the final climb and run in that right hand side from 36.6K to the finish. Very little flat. It's critical to use it where you can. You've got to race to your strengths on this. The Paterberg, talking to a lot of our riders, you can win this race on the Paterberg because you can go hard enough and open the gap. You then just have to hold it to the finish. And that is the big ask. You've got to hold it. Sprints are going to be frantic. The last run to the actual line, through to the portcullis and into the Citadel, it really is a very tough finish, and we have seen heartbreak on the way in. So this is going to be critical. So, riders in the lead of categories 3 and 4 well into the descent, heading to the Valkenberg, onto the climb of the Kwaremont, coming out the rest of our leaders. But here we go into the tunnels. So this is category 4. These are our leaders. They're at 42k. They have 3 kilometers to go. They are not far off the climb. As you look at the top right hand side of category 4, you can see you've got the steep kicker. That is the Valkenberg climb. Levels, and then another kick in to the finishing line. Left hand side of your screen, this is the run for the Kwaremont, the cobble climb. This 2.2k long. They basically ascend up, it levels slightly, and then they kick again. The leaders in category 1, Pablo Popovic, Michael Knudsen, and Michael Vink are all together. They are catching Nuki, they're catching Munoz, Betty, Alami, Graves are all in danger of being caught as well as they make the way through here. Henry Oyce, I think, has seen the leaders go on to his wheel and through, and these category 2 riders on the left of your screen trying to stay with category 1 as long as possible to see if they're going to pull them through to the finish. But we're coming on the slopes, and this is where the power to weight ratio, the immense power, the lightweight of the riders in category 1 should be able to be put to good effect here. It is Michael Vink who is leading them up. Vink with the white cap. Then it is Michael Knudsen on his wheel. Pablo Popovic here in the polka dot skin suit is slow to react here. He's not gone hard. Now, was that because he was being measured in his effort, or was that because he was looking to be careful about when he went, or was that because he couldn't answer them? These are the riders in front of our leaders in category 1, and these look like they are the category 2 leaders. Let's see who can take this out. So here we go, on to the climb, on to the turn. They are working well. Behind, though, category 1 are coming. Michael Vink at 6 seconds, and it's coming down. Vink is leading the category 1. He's chasing category 2. Category 2 are all over the road, and this is the view he's got. And right on his heels, his 2 teammates. It's Vink, Knudsen, Popovic in that order, on the road, on the climb. They're making the way in. This is going to be key. Now, here we go. Can they make contact? Can they close them on this part of the ascent? Will the riders in front, if they hit the flat section, they're going to open up. We're running in with Josale. Betty at the moment, you can see that pushing hard over the top here. They don't want to get caught too soon here. They will want to get over the top of the Kwaremont and still be in touch with the leading category 1 riders on the run down into the Valkenberg. That means that they've got to continue to push through this straight. Meanwhile, Michael Vink, Michael Knudsen, Pablo Popovic are closing in on the flatter section. They want to be on and past these riders, I'm sure. They will want to not have a confused view. If you're in with a group, yes, you're able to take advantage of the draft, but it's confusing. Vink is going to come rocketing through. Look at that. He's gone in. He's gone through them. Through. You can just see goes Popovic onto the wheels, and it's Knudsen now who's the last of the riders to take advantage of that draft. Vink is pushing. Behind him, he's got Phil Graves, a rider who knows the strength of Michael Vink. He's raced against him many times. Brutal action in category 1 and 2. But boy, we're nearly in towards the finish. The chasing riders are on the Valkenberg. They're on the left-hand side of your screen. They're climbing the Valkenberg. The riders on the right-hand side of your screen are your race leaders in category 4. The race leaders in category 3 are behind them, and they're not all that far behind. I think Luke Allpott and Mark Dasson will hold on to the finish. They now have 1.2k to go. They're on the outskirts of the Citadel. They're working their way around the moats, around these defences of this city here. As to the top of the Valkenberg on the left of your screen go the leading group of category 3, and it's a huge bunch. That is going to come down surely to a sprint between that group of riders. This finish, category 4 finish, should be between Luke Allpott and Mark Dadson. Now, these two have raced against each other. They have battled it out time and time again against each other. They are strong riders. We know that they are teammates as well on the Anzac squad. Stephen Yates, Mark Daston, Luke Allpott and Brett McMurtry are the riders on there. Brett McMurtry a little bit further back in the groups. Allpott and Daston leading this out. Meanwhile, over the top of the Patenberg on the left of your screen, looks like Filippo Quadrelli and Daniel Cadiz have opened up the throttles and we've got a little bit of a gap on the riders behind here. It's going to be interesting to see if they can make that stick. Allpott's got on the right-hand side of his screens from Daston and open the gap. He has got the solo move put in as he runs to the finish. Left-hand side, two riders breaking clear of the rest of the group, but Allpott has broken Daston. It's Luke Allpott has done it. He's gone clear. He's used that power that he uses time and time again in the breakaways. He's going to come around this long, sweeping left-hand turn. The fortress has been unlocked by Luke Allpott. The Citadel keys will be handed to him as he goes through that portcullis, because he is going to take the win. He will be the king of the castle and the first rider home. Look at the distance he's put into everybody else in the final kilometre here. It is Allpott who can cruise to victory here on qualifier race number 2. What a ride by Luke Allpott. So here he comes, the final run to the finish. Luke Allpott is going to be victorious at qualifier number 2 in November on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. King of the castle, he's crowned. It's Luke Allpott. So Allpott comes through, he takes the win. Mark Daston is going to be in second place. He's relaxed right down. Those watts per kilo have dropped off. He's going to turn those legs around. He fought all the way into the finish. He went clear with his teammate. They have put a fantastic ride in for the Anzacs team here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Mark Daston comes through in second place. Behind it's the sprint for Category 3 win. Filippo Quadrelli has got the gap. We saw him attack. He's not going to worry about the rider in Category 4. It's going to be a win in Category 3 for Quadrelli. This is a run in. I think it's going to be Moreno who's going to take second. Giuliano is going to take third place here in Category 3. That is the run for the line complete in Categories 4 and 3. Category 2 are on the run into towards the Patenberg. And guess what? They've got Pablo Popovic, they've got Michael Vink, and they've also got Michael Knudsen. 3 riders from Category 1 who have swept them up on the run up the Kwaremont and are now in with the group on the run towards the Patenberg. And surely the Patenberg is going to be the decisive moment. It's short. It's 400 meters long. That will not matter. That is going to be absolutely key. Now, we've got 3 riders from the UAE clan team in the lead. They are at 41.5k. 400 meters behind. Mr. X100 and SS are trying to break clear of the bunch behind. They think that that gap is now substantial enough that they can break away from the group, try and give a clean sweep to the UAE clan team. And that is a big marker set down here in Belgium. If that is going to be the case, however, it's all about this run in for the line. Remember, it's a big pack of riders on the left of your screen. We're at 42 kilometers now. We're on the run into the tunnels. We're right underneath the Citadel. We're down in the dungeons. Who's going to break clear? Who's going to get up to the daylight first? It's going to be a close run thing, because I think once we hit the Patenberg, the Category 1 riders in the yellow on the left screen should accelerate up. They have currently 25 seconds over the chase from Mr. X100. That should be enough, because if you get over the Patenberg, you should be able to stay clear. But it's about this push now. Mr. X100, right-hand side of your screen, 6 seconds a gap to Johan Noren. He's currently in 4th position in Category 1. 5th position in Category 1. Currently Arnie Jacobs, but Kaminski's in there, Noren's in there, SS is in there, Martins is in there. They could all mix this up. Zach now is only a little bit further behind from the United States of America. This is going to be a real mix of riders in the battles below the top three, but I think the top three surely is going to come from the riders on the left-hand side of your screen in Category 1. And that's the lead, remember, of Category 2. Onto the Valkenberg they go. 400 metres. 400 metres, that's all that is going to separate these riders for the next long flat section. And they come on. Ruben Dont is leading this out. It's not the Category 1 riders who are winding this up. Category 2 are showing they mean business here. There's more riders. There is in some ways a bigger fight here. Anders Bengtsson has opened it up. Che Howell answering him. Ritter's trying to come onto his wheel. Look at this. It's a sea of red chevrons as these riders are pulling themselves inside out on the climb here. This is about pushing to the top of the Valkenberg. One rider has been distanced. They're going to put in this effort. They'll only have lost one rider at the moment. Will it fracture more? They're coming to the top. This is the kick. You can see the polka dot banner is at the summit. It's about this kick. Who is able to do this? Who's able to break clear? It's so close between groups 1 and 2, but as they go over the top, now Knudsen kicks. He goes over the top of the Valkenberg. He waited and waited. He's gone over the top. Can he stay clear? 7.8 watts per kilo, 7.9. He's kicking hard. The chase is coming from the Category 2 riders. Vink is not answering it. Vink is waiting here. Popovic has gone. He's in pursuit at 7.5 watts per kilo. Knudsen is up the road, and now Vink goes in pursuit. 3 Category 1 riders are over the top of the Valkenberg. They have 400 metres till they hit the 1K to go marker. This is going to be an absolutely brutal finish to this race because they are trying to break clear of Category 2 so that does not cause confusion. They want to stay clear. They know that the chase is coming behind from Mr. X100 to try and bridge across to them. They know that he should come clear. What they don't want is Category 2 coming and mixing it up. Knudsen's got the gap. 1 second to Popovic, 1 second to Vink. Who has got a kick? Who's got anything left? We have covered 44.1 kilometers. We have got well over 465 meters in the bank. We've got the last kick to the finish line to come. The sweeping turn that brings us in over the bridge, over the drawbridge of the Citadel to bring us in underneath that portcullis and in to the banner. Knudsen has the lead now. Popovic is coming behind. I'm sure all team alliances are off now. This is about the run for the win. Vink is on the wheel of Popovic. Popovic coming onto the wheel of Knudsen. 3 riders together. We're at 600 meters to go. Now 500 meters to go. And it looks like Knudsen is closed down. Knudsen has no hat on here. The rider with the black shoes is Popovic. The white shoes is going to be Vink with the white caps there. And it is so close between them at the moment. There's nothing to choose. That banner's going to come into sight. They're the fastest riders on the road today. They've closed everyone down. Who's going to make this? Knudsen opens up again. Popovic is coming. We know Popovic has got a kick. But here comes Vink. Vink with the white shoes, white cap, goes over the top of Popovic. Knudsen is washed away. Can he kick again? He can. He's gone over the top of Vink. He's coming upon Popovic. This is going to be for the line. Who wants this the most? Is it going to be Vink? Vink found something. Where's he pulled that from? Oh, it's a photo finish. Surely that is going to be Vink. It is. Michael Vink takes victory from Pablo Popovic, from Michael Knudsen. The sprinting Category 2 was done from Gates. What a run for the line behind. There are bodies all over the ramparts of the Citadel here in Belgium. They're racing for the line behind. Martin Martins has gone hard, but look at this. Norren's got something in the bank. He's gone over the top of him. I think Norren is going to come in 4. It's going to be Martin Martins in 5. SS, I think, will come through in 6th place. Oh, it's just carnage out there. What a race into the Citadel here in Belgium. These riders coming through. Arnie Jacobs putting a fantastic ride in here as we see the run to the line Mr. X100, after all that hard work into the line, he wants to roll in ahead of Zach Nen. There he's coming quick, but I'm not sure whether he's coming quick enough. That gantry is coming. The yellow arch of MyWhoosh here on the Citadel outskirts as they come in to town. What a ride, what a race, what a Sunday race club. Let's look at the confirmed results. The fastest riders of the day, all category 1. 9th place for Mr. X100 and 8th place for Arnie Jacobs. It's going to be a 7th place for SS, a 6th place for Michael Kaminski, a 5th place for Martin Martins, 4th place for Johan Noren. Your top 3, though, all from the UAE clan team. Michael Knudsen in 3, Pablo Popovic in 2. Your race winner of qualifier number 2 of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, it's Michael Vink. What a race. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 45 seconds of absolute action. What a race. I think that is going to be one of our best races yet. Absolutely loved it. I love the Belgian course on MyWhoosh. I love riding around it. Part of me wishes I could race it, and part of me is really glad I don't, because that was tough stuff for all of our riders. What a race, what a ride. Catch up with the full results on the MyWhoosh.com website. It is www.mywhoosh.com. Give us all a follow. My name's Matt Payne. It's been a pleasure bringing words to the action here today. You can catch up with me. It's at Matt Fixer Payne. I'll be joined next week by my co-host, by Emma Martin. It's at Biking Emma if you want to get in touch with Emma. We will be trying to ride on as many rides as we can over the next coming week as well. But don't forget, whilst you're on social media, give MyWhoosh a follow. It's at MyWhoosh on Instagram, on Facebook, and my_whoosh on Twitter. Don't forget, of course, that we'll be back on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club next week. I'm going to go watch a little bit of Mountain Bike XCE with Emma now. I hope you will do the same and join us both again next week when we are aided by the amazing team to bring you all of the pictures. We'll be adding a few words on top. But until next week, stay safe. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.